Welcome to I'd Play That for $1, the newest budget-friendly gaming podcast from the World 101 Podcast Network. I am, as always, your host, Larry the Bearded Wonder. Joining my friends are Chris John from the left side of the internet.
Oh, hi.
And Todd Oxtra from the far right side of the internet.
Hola.
That's perfect on a political wavelength. Thank you. And this is our budget-friendly gaming show where we talk about quick, rapid, roundtable, rapid-fire reviews of games that we got our mitts on for $1 or less, so they have little to no impact on our wallets, thank God. So let's kick it off this week. Chris, what'd you find for $1 or less?
Well, I ended up finding this game on the PlayStation Plus free game for the month of November. Kingdoms of Amalur: Re-Reckoning. It was a PS4 game, and I think on Steam right now, I believe it's $40, and on Steam and Epic. So I was interested because I found out that Todd McFarlane worked on this game, and back in the '90s, he was one of the comic book creators / artists that I would follow a lot. Now looking back, I'm not sure why, but good for him. He did well with what he's known for now. But this is a RPG third person style, and it was okay. I put a couple hours in. Mostly like rehashing because I forgot to save and or get to a quick save spot, so I had to like replay parts of it. But it was pretty decent. You can switch between different styles of combat, so you can obviously be a mage or get in there and whack everyone with your sword and shield, and use a bow and arrow also, which is the combat felt pretty good. I got to a place though that it reminded me of World of Warcraft, and it kind of gave me shivers and hesitation. So it was like I don't want to go down that route. So I don't know. I think because of that, I probably wouldn't play this for $1, and I'm sorry, I should have said, if today was my last day, I would not be playing this game. I want my nickel back. But
that's what we need. We need just a random lyric or a lyric randomizer, so that way whenever it comes up, you know it's coming, you hit the button and you gotta figure out a way to work that lyric in.
It's going to be, yes, just place those lyrics within the review.
Exactly.
Let's see if I can approach that scenario for my game. But Chris, that's a game where when we talked about remakes or remasters, that feels like a game that had a fresh coat of paint, but they did nothing else to it.
Yeah. And
you see how far games have come.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was unfortunate, but you know what? I gave it a shot. I'll say that though. So
that felt like a game that when that came out, teetered on breaking into, major success, but never quite got its toe across the line.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, R.A. Salvatore did the story. It was like the super creator teams, and was it Kurt Schilling was the guy who was behind that game. This was the game that was supposed to fund and get everyone ready for the MMO of this game, and then the state of Rhode Island funded it, and they got in trouble. Long story, yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I didn't realize that this was that game. Interesting. Okay.
It's that game, yeah.
Well, sorry.
Happens. Todd, what you got?
Well, Larry, I think I'm going to break your heart, man. I played Fez, a game that is long storied to be, long storied because of its creator, I believe Phil Fish is his name, who probably has more haters than he has fans because he's kind of prickly, which you always want with your creator of something. You're like, he got in the way of my game. I don't know much about him. I just remember he was in a documentary, I think, called Video Games.
Indie Game the Movie.
Yeah. So,
and then there was, I think, Afterlife was the follow-up to that.
Yeah. So I really don't have much to say about the person, but I played the game. And this reminds me of Jonathan Blow in the fact that I feel like I want to make a pretentious game. And this is my pretentious game. And if you don't like my pretentious game, you're dumb. I kind of feel like they almost hold their players in a way of like, you're probably not going to get, you dumb gamers. So I don't know. So when I started playing this game, I'm like, I get it. So this game, Fez, is an 8-bit art style, but it's been updated so it doesn't look like your NES game, but it's modern, but in that 8-bit style. And the whole mechanics it's all about rotational gameplay and going into the environment. In a way, this reminded me of Paper Mario Wii, where at times with Paper Mario, you would shift the environment and get thin, and you'd see a different way to approach the level. It's not a new concept. We've seen this before. But as I start playing the game, and the mechanics are solid, I just felt like this game thought a lot of itself as I was playing. I'm like, yeah, I'm doing what you're doing, and I get it. I just could care less. Nothing grabbed me to say, this is going to be an awesome time. Everything was so low key. Everybody was so like laissez-faire when you meet them. And like, you got to find these bricks. I'm like, So I it's like those games, like if someone had never told me about this game, I might have enjoyed it more, but everybody hyped it up. I'm like, maybe there's a lot to it, but I just don't have the interest in putting more into it because there's nothing that wanted me to go further that said, yeah, this is going to be great. So I get it. Traversal games, exploration games, sometimes they hook me, sometimes they don't. But I think this game is for a lot of different people. Larry, for one, it's for him. He owns a stuffed version of the character, but it just did nothing for me at all. So I will tell you, though, because I think you guys want to know, based on Nickelback lyric, these 5 words in my head scream, "Are we having fun yet?" No, we're not.
Nice. Well done.
Todd, I am biting my tongue furiously to not just like immediately defend this game to you. Because like I could like this game. I could tell you things. I could give you some things to make you want to go back in and be like, okay, I'm here now. But I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. So
that's a different podcast.
If you want a reason to go back to it, I'll give you a reason to go back to it. But if you're not feeling it, you're not feeling it.
Games got to work for me. They don't want to make me work for it. Because, we always say, our game libraries are so huge. I want the game to call to me, and I want the game don't want to put down. I don't want the game. Well, if you pay it for 25 hours, it finally gets good. I'm like, who got time for that? Sorry. But yes.
No, I feel that.
Larry? How long is the game?
Depending on how much you want to dig into it and find the extras and stuff, you can get through it in, I want to say under 10.
That just right. So, no. Nope.
That's not that bad though. I was for some reason I was expecting you to say like under 20 hours. Like, oh, nope.
See, I'm like, if you told me like about 3 hours, I'm like, that seems about right for that type of game. Okay. Anything longer than that, I'm like, yeah.
See, I think a big part of the catch is that it presents like a platformer game, but it is built on a foundational layer of puzzle game.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I mean like deep puzzle game stuff. So,
yeah.
Like just as an example for you, Todd, that whole, block of gibberish from the giant cube at the beginning of the game, that text is all translatable. There is an actual translation for all the gibberish text in the game. And so there's a whole ton of actual content written there. And it includes like answers to a good number of the puzzles in the game. And a big part of the trick and the puzzle for, doing those is finding like the key or the legend to give you the translation for everything. And I thought it was done in a super clever way. Like, it made me smile, because there's a scene where you're in like one of the forest areas, and there's a line of that gibberish text on the ground, but there's a little scene that's happening there kind of on an animated loop, and it's telling you what the sentence says, because it's the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog happening animated. And so it's the sentence, which has every letter of the alphabet, lets you translate all the text in the rest of the game.
Is that a nice to do, or is it something you have to do?
You don't have to.
Okay, so that's I totally get it. That's something you
to, but
you
there's
can
a
do.
lot of extra rich stuff to get and find out if you dig into those layers.
Yeah, so that seems like the next level of I think it's one of those things. If you really like this game, you'll do that. But if you're not probably going to dig deep enough for all the lures. So it becomes a scenario where games like this, like I said, they got to snag me. And if they don't snag me, it's kind of like, it could be the greatest work of art could be there. It's just, well, I could be doing this or something else I'm having more fun with. So yeah, that's the trick with gaming, right? There's just too much. So if there was 5 games, yes, I would traverse and go through, but there are 300,000 or a billion or whatever we have. Oh, well.
I got to ask, though, because this is honestly one of my favorite parts of Fez. What did you think of the music?
It was good, but there's a lot of great video game soundtracks. So it wasn't iconic to me. It didn't stand. I'm like, oh, I'm humming that. I'm like, yeah, sounds like something I hear in the background.
Okay. I say I paid for like 3 different versions of that soundtrack, like the original and 2 remix versions.
Well, folks, this is my last episode, so I hope you have a good time. I will be muted. I may be here, but I'll just be muted anyway.
So this week, we've got another one from the Twitch library that I've gotten other places as well, but it is in the Twitch freebie library. And full disclaimer, have interviewed and had on an episode of World 1-1 one of the developers of Kunai. So we have it's not a grayscale, but it's not monochromatic. I always want to call it like a pale scale. Like, it's a lot of very muted colors. It's all side scroll pixel art, but not like 8-bit NES pixel art pop. It's a little more natural, blended, and relaxed. And its art direction. That said, you play as a little robot with a TV for a face, and it takes a minute to get there, but a major modus operandi of your mobility through this game are the little kunais with the ribbons attached to them that you're kind of using as like dual grappling hooks. And eventually you get, some extra quirks to them. Like, you can use them if you, put one out to the right and one out to the left, and then you're kind of dangling. You can essentially slingshot yourself places to help get around. They're great for weapons, but that's not the main thrust weapon for combat in this game. It's actually pretty heavy on the mix of gunplay and swordplay. The action felt really good. It was a ton of fun. It was really smooth. I had a ball playing it. As genres go, this one falls into the category of a microvania. So this is not a full-blown Metroidvania, but it has some of those elements but not enough, or not all of them needed to be a full-blown. So we have here a microvania. It's not super heavy on the backtracking. It's got a mostly interconnected world. And I love the game pretty much all throughout. There were some amazing boss fights to be had, for one. Oh my God, some of them were spectacular. Where I hit an issue, because I did, and I really hit a wall on this, was the end game. Because you will get to a point where you walk into the end game, but you have no idea it's coming. And when it happens, you are locked in. You can't backtrack to try and beef yourself up if you're having problems. I'm
Well,
like, God damn it.
Yeah.
You were almost there.
And there's not enough, like, the journey there isn't enough, you'd say? Like, you really have to know when you're ready to finally get there?
I would definitely recommend it, especially not knowing what they're going to throw at you in the end game. It's a lot of almost horde mode. There's a lot of like wave after wave after wave after wave things to get through before you get to the actual like end.
So you're stuck
but once
now?
you're
Like,
locked,
you'd have to restart this game?
yeah, you're locked into it.
Ooh.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
Well, you said it's
I was
micro.
sad about that. I know. It's not bad for a replay. I just,
Sure.
on a first time through, I wish you
Yeah.
had an indicator before you got locked in.
Yeah, like those games that say, "Are you sure you're ready?"
Yeah.
Right.
Even that, right? Yeah.
It happens very organically in your progression of the game and the story, and suddenly you're like, what the hell?
Yeah, you think you'd be ready for it.
Right. But that said, I had a ton of fun with the rest of the game. I really did. I think the only other thing I wish they had done a little bit differently is maybe some of the upgrades. You got some of the upgrades a little faster in your pacing. And I don't mean like finding new stuff, but just kind of upgrading certain weapons, mobility stuff that you already have. That felt a little too grindy for my liking. If that was just a touch quicker, perfect. But all in all, though, I more than got a dollar's worth out of it. So I would definitely play Kunai for $1. It was a ton of fun.
Nice.
So, but I do believe, I had a good time. Like I said, the color palette is just so striking in its mutedness.
Yeah.
So
I looked at it. It reminds me of Gunman Clive, where they do some interesting things with it too. Yeah.
Gunman Clive always reminded me of that children's book about the carrot.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's got like that same tan brown art style and the line work and everything. That's what Gunman Clive always reminded me of. I think it was about like a carrot seed or a little boy that plants a carrot seed in its garden.
Okay. I'll have to believe you, Larry.
I will.
Would you read that for $1?
To my child, absolutely. It was a great little children's book, and I'm actually going to try and find a copy now that I'm thinking about it. So when I do, I'll send it to you, and you'll be like, "Oh yeah, that really does look like Gunman Clive." So, but we've made the rounds. That concludes another stirring episode of I'd Play That for $1. Our wallets have all come out reasonably unscathed. We not so much, but you get that. This has been a production of World 1-1 Podcast Network, where you can and should find us at Good Pods, which is the best place to podcast. But if you're not there, you can always pick us up on your favorite podcatcher, as well as all the other great productions and shows that we put out here at World 1-1 Podcast Network. And we'll see y'all next week. Remember, press start to engage your mind. Peace.
Bye.
Bye.